Biden pressionou Bolsonaro e interferiu nas eleições brasileiras, acusa a âncora da Fox News. Jornalista já entrevistou a família do atual presidente da República durante sua campanha à reeleição. Acompanhe o vídeo deixando seu like e sua opinião nos comentários. Também se inscreva no canal para mais informações.
So the same administration that is constantly yammering on about the sanctity of democracy and free and fair elections has in fact been meddling in the elections of other countries, in this case specifically the elections of Brazil, for more than a year. We're not speculating about this. Biden's CIA director personally pressured Jair Bolsonaro's office, that'd be the former president, or still technically the president of Brazil, pressured Bolsonaro to accept the results of the election long before the election took place. Think about that for a minute. You have no obligation to accept the results of an unfair election. In fact, if you believe in democracy, you shouldn't. But no one in Brazil is allowed to complain about it because big tech companies, which have been effectively arms of the Biden administration for 2 years, are censoring anyone who questions the election. So their candidate, Lula da Silva, supposedly won, and you're not allowed to suggest otherwise, period, or air your supposedly guaranteed right to ask about your country. A judge has also ordered that social media companies remove any posts that question the election results. So this is massive suppression, and despite it, or probably because of it, physical protests are breaking out across Brazil. Matt Tierman is an investigative journalist. He joins us to assess what exactly is going on here. Matt, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So the Biden administration is admitting they had the CIA director try to bully the president of a sovereign country on the question of his own elections? How can that happen?
Well, they don't even think it's a big deal. It's par for the course. In fact, Bernie Sanders was talking about it on Pod Save America, the lefty podcast of former Obama administration alum. And it was like, okay, this is great. This is what we should be doing. We need to secure, quote unquote, democracy our way. Now, Bernie Sanders was somebody who was rallying for decades against the CIA involvement in Latin America in the 70s. But everything's about politics for these people. And in addition to the CIA director, now they're talking about sending Jake Sullivan down there, the national security advisor, to make sure the transition is orderly. But the bigger deal, I think, is that they have had a see no evil, hear no evil mentality for the last 2 years as Bolsonaro followers, politicians aligned with him, journalists have been censored, imprisoned. I wrote a piece for CDM Press, Todd Wood, who I know you know, and I listed some of these incarcerated journalists. Even a sitting politician, a sitting congressman, was placed under house arrest, and it's continuing right now. Carla Zambelli, an outspoken member of the lower house, the Chamber of Deputies, has been totally purged from social media by diktat of one man, the head of the Brazilian Supreme Court, who also oversees a subsidiary court, the Brazilian Electoral Court. There's no due process here. It is purely by diktat, and these people are losing their voices, and the Biden administration says nothing. Where is that not considered an irregularity electorally? Where's the Organization of American States, the EU, the State Department, the IRI, who monitors elections? They're silent. It's pretty obscene.
If you don't have free speech, you don't have democracy. Free speech is a prerequisite for democracy. So when you shut down free speech, it's not a democracy by definition. And I wish, if you're not following the Bill of Rights, it's not a democracy. So period. Anyway, Matt Tierman, I appreciate your reporting on this very much.
O jornalista e âncora da Fox News, Tucker Carlson, utilizou seu espaço na programação da emissora norte-americana para acusar o presidente dos Estados Unidos, Joe Biden, e a Agência Central de Inteligência, CIA, de pressionarem o presidente do Brasil, Jair Bolsonaro, PL, e interferirem nas eleições brasileiras. Segundo o comunicador, o governo democrata levanta bandeiras que pregam eleições livres e justas, mas interfere na realização dos pleitos em diversos países. Neste caso, nas eleições do Brasil, a interferência ocorre há mais de 1 ano, disse. Carlson afirma que não especula sobre o assunto, mas não apresenta provas que corroborem com sua acusação. Em seguida, O profissional informou que o diretor da CIA pressionou o atual mandatário brasileiro a aceitar o resultado da eleição antes da disputa eleitoral acontecer. Você não tem a obrigação de aceitar os resultados de uma eleição injusta. O candidato deles do Partido Democrata, Lula da Silva, supostamente venceu e você não tem permissão para sugerir o contrário, afirmou. Por fim, o jornalista aponta para uma supressão massiva dos direitos de questionar a legitimidade da eleição. Calço é figura próxima do presidente Jair Bolsonaro e, em julho deste ano, veio ao Brasil para entrevistar o chefe do Executivo Federal no Palácio do Planalto. No local, após a realização das perguntas, ganhou um cocar de presente do presidente da República. Deixe seu like e sua opinião nos comentários. Também se inscreva no canal para mais informações.